everyone, and welcome to the Something in Mimosas podcast, a show where we share powerful life lessons, a few laughs, and empower women while sipping on mimosas. Now, grab some orange juice and champagne and welcome your host, Gail Dudley.
Well, hello, everyone. This is Gail Dudley with Something in Mimosas. How's everyone doing? Hey, I thought I would do just a very easy mimosa recipe today. And we're just going to go with our basic orange juice, some champagne, and or sparkling cider. And then you're going to put just a little bit of sugar on the rim. You're going to put an orange slice on the side of your glass and call it a day. We're going to make it really easy. Sometimes we go way out with our mimosas, and we can look at that to be something for parties or girls' day or couples' day or brunch or whatever that may look like. But today I just want to go simple. Sometimes we overcomplicate things. So you want to put at least about half of your glass of orange juice, and then you're going to top it off with, again, either champagne or sparkling cider. You're going to take a little sugar and you're going to go around the rim, and then you're going to take your orange slice and tag it to the side. And that's how we're going to roll today, everybody. Hey, don't forget that if you have a mimosa recipe that you want to send my way, please do so at info.gaildudley@gmail.com. And with that out of the way, I am so excited to be welcoming back Nawanda Turner. Y'all remember her? She was talking about that whole journey of health, and it's more than a number. As you know, she is a successful businesswoman. She is a friend of mine. She is tackling her journey with health, wellness, and weight loss. And last time we talked more about her personal experience and how she dealt with trying times and still managed to stay healthy. Today, she has given me permission to go a little bit deeper. I was looking at some of y'all's email comments saying, well, what about this? And what about that? And how is this going to happen? And how is that going to happen? Well, hopefully we'll get to a lot of that. And if we don't, I'm suggesting that she starts her own podcast, and then we can all tune into her week after week after week after week, because trust me, she has so much to share. So I'm going to shut up, ask her a couple of questions. I'm going to let her go all in. So welcome back, Nawanda. How are you?
I am great, Gail. Thank you for having me back.
Oh, absolutely. People loved the last time we got together. They said this was a great interview. So of course, we're going to ride on that coattail. So let me ask you this question. Last time you were talking about you were loading chapter 49, and now you're in the middle of chapter 49, and you'll be loading chapter 50. I think you might be in the middle of loading chapter 50 now, because your birthday is coming up in the summer of 2021. So with that being said, the last time you gave us just a teaser into that is more than a number. And so I want you to be as vulnerable as you would like to be. I'm going to push the envelope just a little bit and ask you to share with us. And you remember, we got to do this in short time span. So you got about 5 minutes, 6 minutes. Give us just the peek into personal story that you have. And then I'll go from there. So just come on, Nawanda, tell us a little story. Let us look inside just a little bit more. So go for it.
Yeah. So I will just start where the catalyst was, after being married for 20 plus years, it not being a healthy marriage and it being a toxic and chaotic situation. I didn't realize that a lot of my coping mechanisms were destructive to myself. So that's where you come into the emotional eating, the making excuses for the way you're being treated, trying to figure out, is it my fault that I'm being treated this way? And it's just destructive thing after another. And before you know it, your mindset is so broken that you try to do the weight loss because you need to, but something happens with all of that, toxicity and abuse that you cannot stay on course because ultimately something's going to happen to push you backwards and you don't even realize it. I don't know how many times I have started my weight loss journey in the past, and I would go good for 30 days, 60 days, 90 days. And then something would happen. And before I knew it, it was the end of that current year. And I'm back at January, like, what happened? And it wasn't until I started therapy. So started therapy, started with a health coach. And my therapist, because you don't, when you're a strong Black woman, you don't realize the stuff that you do, even though you're being strong, sometimes it's to your own detriment. You don't understand that and realize that. And when I started working with my therapist, she was like, you were having a response to trauma.
Mm.
That was your response to trauma. And she said, until you deal with that and unpack that and find ways to forgive yourself for it happening, understanding that it wasn't your fault, you will always be in that like gerbil wheel cycle, just going around and around. You take a step forward, you take 20 steps backwards, step forward, 20 steps backwards. And I really believe for me, the catalyst to me being on this journey consistently moving forward in a positive manner has been therapy, because I've been able to address so much that I didn't even know I was dealing with, and really unpack it to where now when things happen that could trigger me or could cause me to go backwards, it's like, nah, I see you. Let me step over this and keep on going. So it's really, for me, that whole situation of my marriage really made an impact on me, because at the end of it, I looked in the mirror and I didn't even recognize who I was. I'm like, who am I?
Wow.
Like, I had to find myself. And that was, you can't undo that and unpack that overnight. That takes time, but it also takes consistency and the willingness to be vulnerable and the willingness to be real and the willingness to be open. And just, sometimes with sessions where, man, I will cry, the ugly cry. But guess what? At the end, I'm like, okay, I'm ready to tackle the day. So it's okay. It's okay.
I love that. I love that. I was looking at our past notes, and you said the need to address the whole person to make weight loss happen. And that's what you're really tapping into right now. But how does a person get in front of the mirror if you have this answer? And let me tell everyone who's listening in, it is okay to see a therapist. Stop thinking that that's just putting a negative label on you. Truth be told, we all need to talk to somebody. And somebody who's going to help us grow, and not somebody who's going to keep us stuck in the places that we are. So, Nawanda, if I can ask you this question, how can a person even get to the place of looking in the mirror to say to themselves, something's not right? What are there any filters we need to take off? Can you unpack that a little bit?
For me, and I could just speak about my personal journey, for me, it was looking at myself and like, that's not me. Like, that's not me. I know how I was raised. I know I was raised with a strong father in the home, a strong mother, supportive family, they supported each other. I have 5 siblings. We all were in the same household. And I knew the kind of support that I grew up with. And then after being in that situation, it's like you get this feeling like, I don't even like who I am right now. Like, this is just not me. And for me, my background, so I'm a project manager. That's my master's degree. But my background, my undergrad is in social work. So you know how they say the helpers are always the last ones to get help.
Right.
They always. And for me, I'm like, I can deal with it. I can do it. I can deal with it. And it was really my health coach who was like, no, you need help with this. And me being open to listening. And that's the thing. We have to be open to somebody who is objective and somebody who has our best interests at heart. You can't tell your story to everybody. Let me just say that. You can't tell your story to everybody, because everybody doesn't want to see you healed, because honey, when you get healed, there are some people that ain't gonna deal with you, because you're not that same person that they can step on, they can manipulate, and they can gaslight. So just understand that your healing is going to come with some loss, but that loss is going to be beneficial for you in the long run. And so for me, I listened and I was at the place where I was like, okay, I need something more. I need something more than this. And literally, Gail, when I tell you, so me and my therapist unpacked this 2 weeks ago, and it was hilarious because I was asking myself, I said, why is this time different? Because for me, again, it's 30, 60, 90. I'll do it 30 days, maybe something happens and I fall off and it's the end of that current year. Next time I'll do it 60 days and I'll fall off and we're back at January. And I just looked at I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm in month 12. Why is this time different? So I told my therapist, I said, when did I start seeing you? Like, that's how I asked him, like, when did I start seeing you? She looked back at her notes. I started with her May of 2020. My journey started March of 2020.
Wow.
March, April. The 60 days that normally I would have worked it and fell off and been at this point, January 2021, talking about what happened. Like, I don't know what happened. But that for me was so eye-opening because it was validation that, yes, I'm a strong person, but I need somebody who can help me identify those areas that were causing me to always move backwards and understand that you don't have, you're not responsible for other people's healing. You're not responsible for other people getting to where they need to be. You're responsible for you. You are responsible for identifying those areas that you need work on, doing it and setting up those boundaries that some people don't like because that means they cannot manipulate you anymore. They cannot walk all over you. They can't gaslight you. They can't do that stuff because you're like, no, boundaries. And it was only then when I said, wow, this is what I needed to get here. And for me, when I tell you it's been life changing, because to see that I'm able to deal with my whole self and not saying that every day is a great day because it's not. I have challenges just like everybody else. People will try me just like they try everybody else. But now I have the tools internally to understand that I don't have to deal with that all the time. I don't have to address it. You know how they say sometimes the best response is a no
Right.
response? Man, I have learned that. Like, oh, I don't have to, okay, let me keep on going and doing what I'm doing. And so that has been so pivotal for me as I'm going in, finishing up my first year of consistency, because it shows me that I had it in me to do all along. I just needed the tools and the resources to help me deal with those challenging areas in my life that were always making me go backwards.
Wow. Wow. Thank you for that. So I want to go, we're doing this journey, where I'm at. And I started out the month of February 2021 of making a commitment for 28 days of doing some sort of exercise, health, and whatever. I was jamming, girl. I was jamming. We even connected on our Apple Watch so that, the accountability piece could be there. And then lo and behold, I'm on the rowing machine. And I'm just going to let all the listeners know, I was doing the rowing machine 10, 15 minutes. This particular Saturday, I was like knocking on an hour and I was jamming. And I felt something in my back, but it was like, whatever. I was jamming. I had Beyonce going. So, I don't know if I was trying out to be her backup dancer or what, but I was jamming. And then Sunday morning, I can't move. Back, neck, everything. I want the listeners to know you want an accountability partner like a Nawanda Turner, because my Apple Watch was not on my wrist and she was sending me a text message talking about, I see no movement. So when you start jamming with somebody's going to, if they're really caring, they're going to be pinging you saying, hey, wait a minute. You haven't even taken a step today. What's happening? So I was able to tell you what was going on. So what do you tell that person? How do you encourage that person that they were literally all in? I was exercising every day and I came to a complete halt because of this whole back. Now, I'm not going to give up. I know that, but I know I have to get through this back issue and neck issue first. what would you tell that person? Because for me, it was like, dag, I was all in.
Right.
And this block came. So what would you tell somebody who's doing that, you know?
Right. And you know what I would tell you, and something I've learned, and I think this is part of our journey too. We have to allow ourselves grace. We have to give ourselves grace. You've done what you set out to do. You started it. It's not that you're not doing it for lack of effort. You got an injury. But having an accountability partner that pushes you and checks on you, like I have this one person that we are neck and neck. Like we do challenges and either she wins or I win. And I think the last time I won by like 2 points. And it was so funny because she got hurt, something happened. And I'm like, girl, where are you at? Nobody else is challenging me. She said, you're my person who pushes me too. But you have to give yourself grace because you don't want to try to do movement and exercise at the expense of your body, but also having somebody that you know is going to check on you, to encourage you to be like, okay, do a little stretch, let me know when you get back in the game. Because what happens is you don't get lost. What happens is you don't go and get better and then forget what you started. Because that person is going to
Right.
be like, how are you doing? How are you feeling? Let me know when you're getting back in the game. So, I always talk about, it's almost like an agreement. If I'm your accountability partner, I'm going to check on you. So like when I was looking at your Apple Watch, I'm like, Gail, do you got the watch on? What's going on? But that's because I understand what you were looking to do. And I am that person that there's so many people who have pinged me and be like, you don't know it, but you're my accountability partner. And I'm like, well, how did that work out? Like, how did that work out if I don't even know? But having somebody who you can connect with, who's not going to make you feel bad when you have those bumps in the road, who's going to encourage you, who's going to be like, hey, get healthy, but I'm still here for you. Like,
Right.
self time, but I'm still here for you. And being able to give yourself grace in that moment, knowing that you have to heal to get back to 100%. Because if you don't, it's just going to make it worse. So you don't want to do that. But
Right.
you still want that person to be connected with you because they're going to be checking on you and checking in to see when are we getting back in the game.
Right. Because even like with physical therapy, and you were helpful. You sent me some stretches. You sent me some different things on the text messages. And the physical therapist was saying that, and I don't know how true this is. I mean, I guess they know what they're talking about. But they were saying one thing that's needed that people ignore or don't want to spend the time doing is actually stretching. So they were saying, or did you stretch? No, I didn't stretch. I didn't feel like it. I was trying to get my 30 minutes in and I was trying to burn calories. Stretching doesn't burn any calories. And they were like, that is so not true, that stretching actually burns calories.
Right.
So can you speak to that? Because I think some people think they have to be jogging or playing basketball or tennis or racquetball or doing backhand springs. And
backhand springs. But it's funny because you are so right, because I'm horrible at stretching. I will tell you that right now. I'm horrible at it. And so once I realized that, I said, okay, I need to be intentional about it. So actually on Saturday mornings, I do yoga. Okay. Let me tell you something. Yoga ain't no joke. Okay. I will sit there and be sweating doing these stretches, okay? Because all it is like moving your body and stretching it and doing different things. And I said, okay, I need this because again, that's how we get injured when we don't prepare the body or don't warm our body up and don't stretch. And our muscles are like, hey, warm me up first before you start to do an hour worth of power. Like, what you doing? Like, I can't handle this. So that is so important because what it does is it helps preserve your body. If you talk to any pro athlete, like I'll talk about my son, he's in college, stretching is pivotal for his success. He's not going to go out there and play in the outfield and not stretch his arms, stretch them legs. You want everything to move better, you have to stretch. And I think we don't do a great job of that. And so that's why for me, I'm like intentional, like, okay, on Saturday mornings, I'm doing this. And trust me, I be huffing and puffing and sweating. And I have not jumped up and there is no jumping up and down. There's none of that. It's crazy. So yes, you can do things like stretching because that definitely it helps your body in the long run because it allows you to move better, allows you to walk better. Like for me, I know like my hip flexor on my left side is always tight. I be in there squatting. I'm like, okay. And I've noticed the difference and now how low I can go when I squat because I've worked consistently on
Wow.
out. So yeah, that is important. And sometimes, I mean, I remember when I tweaked my back when I was working out with a trainer, he was so upset with me. He's like, "Why did you do that?" I'm like, "I don't know. I thought it was gonna be okay." And literally, for 2 weeks, that's all we did was stretching because, like you, I couldn't walk, I couldn't move, I could barely drive. It was bad. Like it was so bad.
It was
And
so bad and it
it,
hurt.
it hurts. And that's why when you told me that, I was like, I feel for you because I know how that feels. It's not fun.
And I don't think people realize how much we use our neck and back.
Until
Literally.
you can't use it. Until you
Until you
can't.
can't use it. And I was like,
Right.
this is not fun.
Not at
So also, so we've been talking about inner healing and we now talked about stretching and you told us a little bit about your story as time is clicking, as time be disappearing. We're having so much fun. Okay, so when you're talking about breathing, give us a little bit more on that. You were with your yoga instructor and
right.
she was saying breathe in and breathe out. So talk a little bit more on that.
Yeah. So basically with her, and I've been working with her for like the last 4 weeks. Saturday mornings is my slow down time because Mike Nicholson, we don't do hip hop on Saturday. So I'm like, okay, this is my intentional slow down time. And I really did not understand how impactful breathing was until listening to her verbal cues. Cause she'll do things like, okay, breathe in. Okay, upon exhale, release everything that doesn't serve you, everything that's blocking you. And you never know what energy you're carrying that doesn't serve you and that's really blocking you. And so through that, I've learned that even if I'm having a chaotic day where my mind's like all over the place, I'll take a few minutes to be like, stop, breathe in, breathe out what doesn't serve you. What's clogging up your mind? Is it insecurity? Is it doubt? Is it unbelief? Breathe it out. Breathe in
Right.
what you need. And it's very important because I think it helps to calm our mind, but it also helps us be intentional with what we are trying to bring forth in our own life. Because a lot of times we take the weight of other people and don't
Right.
understand that we're carrying it. And so we need to release that because it really doesn't serve us in a positive way. But when we don't identify it and recognize it, we try to figure out, if you've ever walked around and like, man, I just feel so heavy. A lot of times we are carrying other people's stuff that we weren't meant to carry and we need to release it.
I know. Speaking of that, Nawanda, that's so true. Because there's times I can find myself sitting somewhere and I'm like, why are my shoulders all tense? It's like I'm telling myself, relax, just relax.
Right,
I could even get in the bed and I feel like I'm tense. And it's like, where is this coming from? And
right.
you having to get that off of you. And I think all of this is that holistic health. This is this inner healing that we're talking about. This is what I believe so many of us maybe need to even hit the restart button and really start paying attention to all of this. Well, of course, I can talk to you all day long. Absolutely. And for those of y'all who heard her mention Mike Nicholson, he's our in Central Ohio. He's our hip hop fitness guy. And you can find him on the internet. And we'll make sure we put that in the description too. I'm going to have him on here one time as well, of course. So let people know how they can get in touch with you. Because I'm sure there's people who are listening to this. And they're saying, I want her on my podcast.
Yeah.
So please share your information on how people can contact you.
Sure. They can email me at Raising Champions. So that's Raising Champions with a Z at gmail.com. You can also call me. I mean, this is my
We're
business.
not going to put her phone number on the air,
But you can call me, but email me for sure. And I'm on Facebook, I'm on Instagram, I'm on at Raising Champions. You can find me by my name on Facebook, Nawanda Turner. But yeah, it's really about us being able to support our own journey and
yeah.
inspire somebody in the process because I never knew how many people were inspired by my journey. And I literally, like I told you the last time I said, I was literally just putting it out there as an accountability for myself
You were changing lives and you are still changing lives. You are absolutely doing that. So, and y'all, I want y'all to know when she said champions, there's not an S at the end, it's a Z at the
Yes,
end.
a
So,
Z.
raising champions with a
Yeah,
Z.
yeah.
Well, thank you again so much for hanging out with me. And everyone, again, reach out to Nawanda. She is not keeping it a secret with her journey. And people are being healed and delivered by her journey. And they're starting a new task every day. So you want to check her out. And again, thank you for joining and signing in to hear something in Mimosas. And again, I'm Gail Dudley. Don't forget to check out News in Motion. We now have a Facebook page, and that's www.facebook.com/news, NEWSNIN motion, MOTION. And don't forget to check out my YouTube. That's www.youtube.com/Gail Dudley. That's GAIL, D as in David, U, D as in David, LEY. And you can find everything I'm doing on my website, which is www.gaildudley.com. I know spring and summer are upon us, so send me in your mimosa recipes so we can put them on air. All right, everyone. Thank you and have a great week. Until next time, I am Gail Dudley with your Something and Mimosas. Hey, everybody, stay well and remember to make moves.
Thank you for joining us on the Something and Mimosas podcast. And don't forget to come back next week. For more Something and Mimosas, follow Gail on Instagram at Gail Dudley, subscribe to Gail's YouTube, or visit us at gaildudley.com.